Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today we will unravel the story within A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. A Storm of Swords, published in 2000, is the third book in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. This epic fantasy tale deepens the political intrigue, war, and personal rivalries as the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros are engulfed in chaos. Stark betrayals, legendary battles, and shocking twists define this installment, which continues the struggle for the Iron Throne and survival against the looming supernatural threat. Plot summary: the night was heavy with shadows, and danger brewed on every horizon. In Westeros, the Seven Kingdoms writhed under the weight of war, betrayal, and unrelenting ambition. Across icy wildernesses, roaring rivers, and blood-soaked battlefields, the tides of power shifted as heroes and villains alike played their roles in the struggle for survival. At the Wall, Jon Snow, cloaked in the black of the Night's Watch, ventured into the wildling army under the guise of betrayal. Mance Rayder, the self-proclaimed king beyond the Wall, led a vast host southward, fleeing a greater threat: the White Walkers. Amid freezing winds and treacherous alliances, Jon wrestled with his loyalties, torn between duty to his sworn brothers and his growing bond with Ygritte, a fierce wildling woman. Secrets whispered through the icy forest as the wildlings pressed closer to the Wall, carrying with them the weight of doom. In the Riverlands, Robb Stark, the king in the north, marched ever forward, his victories tarnished by the heavy price of war. Honor had guided his steps, yet honor faltered in the face of love. His decision to wed Talisa Meager, defying a pact with House Frey, set the seeds of discord. While Robb sought to rally his bannermen, whispers of betrayal brewed at the Twins, where Walder Frey's grudges festered like an old wound. Robb's mother, Catelyn, watched helplessly as her son's decisions veered toward disaster. Each step forward was laden with the shadow of unseen knives, waiting to strike. In King's Landing, the Iron Throne sat under the fragile rule of King Joffrey Baratheon, whose cruelty knew no bounds. Tyrion Lannister, the embattled hand of the king, bore the scars of the Battle of the Blackwater, both on his face and in his waning influence. As power shifted toward his scheming father, Tywin Lannister, and the venomous Queen Regent, Cersei, Tyrion struggled to maintain his foothold in a city steeped in deceit. The specter of an impending royal wedding loomed, and with it, plans that would shake the foundations of the court. Far across the narrow sea, Daenerys Targaryen emerged from the ashes of her past, her 3 dragons growing in strength and fire. With her sights set on building an army, she journeyed to Slaver's Bay, where she confronted the monstrous trade in human lives. In Astapor, her cunning shone as she freed the Unsullied, a disciplined slave army, and turned them against their masters. Her path led her to Yunkai and Meereen, where battles of blood and strategy unfolded. Daenerys, no longer a vulnerable exile, became a beacon of justice and vengeance, her legend spreading across distant shores. Amid the sprawling chaos, Arya Stark wandered through the ravaged Riverlands, her heart hardened by loss and survival. Disguised and displaced, she fell in with the Brotherhood without banners, a band of outlaws who championed justice in a world devoid of it. Arya's path crossed that of Sandor Clegane, the Hound, who became an unlikely companion. Her list of names, a prayer of vengeance, grew longer with each passing day as her innocence ebbed away. Meanwhile, her sister, Sansa Stark, remained a pawn in the deadly game of court politics. Trapped in King's Landing, Sansa dreamed of escape while navigating the venomous web spun by Littlefinger, whose ambitions wrapped around her like a silken snare. Her fate shifted with the announcement of her marriage to Tyrion, a match that was both a humiliation and a reprieve. Each moment brought her closer to danger, her dreams of salvation fading like sunlight in a storm. In the north, Bran Stark journeyed through snow-laden forests and ghostly ruins, accompanied by Mira and Jojen Reed. His burgeoning powers as a greenseer guided him toward visions of the past and whispers of an ancient future. Drawn by the pull of destiny, Bran sought refuge beyond the Wall, where mysteries of old gods and dire wolves awaited him. The path was fraught with peril, each step steeped in the chill of prophecy. Back in the Riverlands, a fateful gathering unfolded at the Twins. Robb Stark sought to mend broken alliances by offering apologies to Walder Frey. Beneath the guise of feasting and merriment, treachery blossomed. The Red Wedding, a massacre cloaked in music and wine, shattered the Stark cause. Robb fell, his direwolf grey wind silenced in the chaos, while Catelyn's cries echoed into nothingness. The Freys and Boltons claimed their prize, plunging the north into despair. In King's Landing, the royal wedding of Joffrey Baratheon and Margaery Tyrell became a spectacle of splendor and venom. Amidst the laughter and festivities, Joffrey's cruelty reached its apex. But as the revelry turned sour, the king choked and fell, his death as dramatic as his life. Fingers pointed toward Tyrion, who stood accused of regicide. Beneath the surface, shadows of conspiracy stretched far and wide, tightening the noose around the innocent and guilty alike. At the Wall, the wildlings launched their assault, their war cries rising against the icy wind. Jon Snow, torn between love and duty, fought valiantly to defend the Night's Watch. Ygritte's arrows flew, her eyes full of sorrow and fire. Amid the chaos, Jon faced the price of his choices as the Wall held strong against the invaders. Winter loomed, and with it, the greater enemy stirred. In the east, Daenerys claimed Meereen, her victories tempered by the challenges of rule. The Dragon Queen's ideals clashed with the harsh realities of governance as her dragons grew wilder, their fire unbound. In a land far from her birthright, she began to question the weight of her dreams and the cost of power. As the land of Westeros descended further into darkness, the night grew longer, and the cold winds rose. Betrayal burned like wildfire, alliances shattered like brittle glass, and whispers of the others grew louder in the frostbitten north. The Game of Thrones continued, as relentless and merciless as the winter it heralded. If this book pulled you in, don't stop here. Explore the rest of A Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. Check the description or search Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in George R.R. Martin's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.